Oh, you just stepped on a frog. All right, cool.
Yeah. All right. Welcome back to another week of Tyler and Patrick podcast show. I'm Tyler.
I'm Patrick.
How are you doing today, Pat?
I'm doing all right. It's like weirdly rainy and gloomy. So which has been different from this normal California weather, but
sunny every day. First time it rained in like 2 months.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, this is gross. I forgot how like the rain just made me feel during the day.
Remember the last time it rained, or was it thunderstorm and everyone was taking videos?
Yeah, people were just like standing out like outside the clinic just watching a thunderstorm. And then I finally asked someone, it's like, so what's going on? It's like, yeah, it really doesn't a thunderstorm like once every year maybe.
Yeah. But now I feel like I'm just too accustomed to it now. Like no rain, not cold ever. So now when it's 60, 65, I'm like, damn, it's cold. So
right.
My friend's coming to visit, so he was like, is it cold out there? Like, what's the weather like? I was like, oh, it's kind of cold. He was like, so what's cold for you? What's cold for me? Because right now it's 30 degrees back in Connecticut. So it's like, it's a difference. We're definitely sheltered now.
Like, I don't mind it though. It's like, yeah, living anywhere else right now, it just sounds like
not it. Just not it.
So what are we talking about today?
So just going over our experiences, what PT school was like for us, kind of, I think what you learned from maybe being a first year graduate student now, or first year new grad, and then going over just the differences, maybe talk a little bit about the boards, how you studied for that, and then just going on to see where it takes us.
Okay.
So tell me, how did you pick Sacred Heart in Connecticut, coming from Arkansas?
Honestly, I just wanted to get out of Arkansas. I was kind of done with being there. Sounds bad, but I was like, yeah, just growing up there, and then I was like, I just needed something new in my life. So I applied to one school in Arkansas. That's kind of like a safe kind of pick. Then applied to a couple of schools in Texas, around the Kansas City area. And then my best friend at the time was in New York City. So I just, the PT cast had like a kind of map where you could pick out schools. So trying to find some places around that New York City area. And so which led me to Sacred Heart, which turns out like an hour and a half away. So I was like, yeah, I can do that. Yeah. So that's how I found Sacred Heart. What about you?
So I went there for undergrad. And then when it came to grad school, so I wasn't initially like accepted as a freshman. And then I applied to 4 schools for PT school, heard back from one, which was Sacred Heart. So I didn't really have much of a choice. I got waitlisted. So you were actually in my interview.
Yeah.
Got waitlisted. And then someone I think dropped out. So I kind of got the one spot. So it was like, I didn't really have much of a choice. It was like either I went to Sacred Heart or I didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. And that was the same for me, because like I applied to maybe 8-9 schools. And I got waitlisted by Sacred Heart, and then waitlisted by another school in upstate New York. And then other than that, I was like, I didn't make the cut.
Yeah. I didn't even hear back. That was the worst part. It was like, I didn't even know if I got in or not. They just didn't even like email me back. One school said, do you have like your stats class? And we had like a made up stats class at Sacred Heart that only counted for Sacred Heart. And then once I showed them the curriculum, just didn't hear back from them. Yeah. So I was like, it's looking slow for me.
Yeah. And I already knew like applying, like it might be a little slow because my grades wasn't like at the top of the top, whatever. And a lot of schools stopped doing in-person interviews.
Because of COVID or just in general?
Just because this was before COVID. So I was applying. Guys, we started PT school in 2018. Yeah. So applying and around, I think at the end of 2017.
Yeah. Okay.
So a lot of schools, they just score you based off your application. So either your grades, involvement, and things like that. And so it's like from there depends on if you get in or not. Yeah. And so I was like, so I know like I had like average scores, average grades.
Just an average student.
Right.
That was me.
Right. So I was like, if I can talk to someone, like I'll be okay. But just that just wasn't the case. And so Sacred Heart, I was excited when Sacred Heart had invited me for an interview. I was like, all right, this is my chance to kind of put myself out there and just do the thing.
I had like so I was supposed to apply as an internal. Problem was, so I had taken physics 1 over the summer. So I tried to get my physics done over the summer just so I could focus on that and try to get a good grade on that. So I took physics 1 over the summer, and after like the first test, I told my parents, like, I'm not taking physics 2. Like, I need at least some part of my summer. So I was like, forget it. I'll just take it like second semester of junior year. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. But then as I was about to do it, I was like, oh, I'm traveling for volleyball, because at that point we were in season. I was like, shit, do I really want to take physics and then have to miss classes? I was like, all right, I'll take it in the summer in between junior and senior year, just like I did before. I was like, got a good grade on it before, so there should be no problem. I got an internship. So it was like, I couldn't take it over the summer. So like, all right, cool. I'll take it second semester, senior year. I was like, that's the only time I can take it. But the problem is I hadn't taken chemistry yet. So you can only have 2 sciences outstanding. So I had 3. So when it went to go to apply as an internal, 1, I missed the deadline. And the worst part was we were like pre-gaming for it to go out. And someone was like, oh, I think it was Musgrove, was like, oh, yeah, thank God I finally got the application in at the last second. I was like, what are you talking about? I thought it was December 3rd. He was like, nah, it was this past week. So I literally shit myself. So I was like,
oh, that's a tough way to like
start my pregame.
Yeah. Honestly, it's either like let that shut down like your whole night, or drink more so you don't think about it. You know,
I just remember the opposite way. My heart was in my ass. I was like, oh damn.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, I could at least apply as an external. Honestly, that probably did better for me, because it was like applying. Technically, I was still an internal, applying as an external. So I was like, I think that made it better, because other than that, I don't know if I was going to get in.
Also, that does remind me, like, also I picked Sacred Heart because they had a later deadline, because I think their deadline was in December
like 15th or something,
right, where others was like August,
October, November.
Yeah, and I was like, I was in so much like anxiety trying to get like, for real, like I would like hives, all that, just like applying to school. Like I would break out in hives every day, just like applying to schools. And then like, because I still need to get like hours of shadowing in and different things like that, just to meet the different criteria. And then like their essays, and they're just like a lot, as well as being a student. I was just like,
oh yeah, that was miserable. And that was my worst semester too, because that was second semester senior year when I had finally gotten in. So when I finally got in, that was like early January, and I still had to get, so my regular GPA was fine, but it was my sciences that were like on the border. I think you needed, what was it, 3.2 or 3.3 or whatever it was. 3.3 in sciences, and I had like a 3.3 like 4.
So are you saying that you were already accepted into the Sacred Heart program at this point?
So at this point, I'm already accepted. So it's like the only way to keep my spot is to keep that science GPA. And so I had a 3.34, needed a 3.3. So I couldn't get anything lower than a B+ in both physics 2 and chemistry 2 that I was taking at the same time. Second semester senior year, and still traveling for volleyball. So I had like physics test. I had my first physics test and my first chemistry quiz on the same day. And I think I had a game later that day. So I was like, all right, I'll study more for the physics test because it means more. And I was like, in last semester, chemistry was multiple choice. So it was like the answer was somewhere on the sheet, and they're pretty similar. And then I got to my chemistry quiz. It was all fill in the blank. There was not a single multiple choice. And I didn't study that at all. And so I remember looking at it, and I just like looked down the entire time. And then I got the quiz back. I got like a 30. He was like, all right, you can drop the first quiz. I dropped the first quiz. Second, so then the test, I got like a 60. I was like, damn, this is looking rough. So I was the same thing. I was like breaking out pretty much, because it was either I got a B+ in both those classes, or I wasn't getting into PT school.
Oh, wow. Mine was just like, I don't know. It's like, I get like a sense of like paralysis. Like I just can't do anything if I'm under stress. Like I'm the type of person that, like, if I'm feeling stressed, I'm gonna go take a nap. I'm not gonna do it.
It's solid.
I don't know, because now you have a lot more things to do in a short amount of time. Like, sure, the nap rested. Yeah. But then you think about all the things you have to do, and now I was like, you know what? let me go
Let me
binge
take a
watch.
nap.
All right, let me go binge watch some Netflix. Let me worry about this later.
Yeah.
But just finally getting everything applied to, and then that was just like such a major relief. Like I think like after I had all my applications in, like I stopped breaking out. So it was like pretty dramatic. So I realized like my body lets me know, though, like me personally, like I don't think about how much I'm stressed, but my body will let me know in that type of way. And so it was pretty wild. And then thinking about traveling to to go to Sacred Heart for the interview was another wild experience, because like personally I didn't even know where Connecticut was on a map. And now I'm like buying a ticket to go out to somewhere I have no idea about. So it was interesting enough just trying to like put all those things together. It's like, I was super excited to get an interview. I was like, all right, you gotta crush it. And so I think so what I did was so my best friend lived in New York City. I stayed at his what day was the interview on? Do you remember?
I think it was like a Friday morning.
Yeah. So I got to my friend's place on like a Thursday, slept. So I spent the night at his place, and then I like took a train, metro up. So the night before the interview, I took a metro up and got a hotel just like in Fairfield. Okay. And then that morning, like just drove up. Yeah. So Ubered to that's expensive. Uber to the campus. Yeah. Did the interview, then just so happened that one of the other applicants was going back to New York City. And so like they just gave me a ride. I remember there was a dude that looked like 40, and I thought it was one of the teachers. So I like said to him, I showed up wildly unprepared. I had no paper, no pen, no nothing, no folder, and everyone showed up with like a notebook and everything. And I was like to him, was like, oh, do I need a notebook for this? He goes, I don't know, this is my first interview. I was like, you're interviewing too? So I felt bad because he looked like old. Yeah, same. I didn't know, like people showed up wildly prepared, like to take notes, and I'm just like, why are we taking notes? Me neither. And I was just like, all right, I'm just showing up. Yeah. And then it was like a group interview. The group interview was pretty wild too. It was like, I don't know. It was the leaking ceiling, right? Yeah. So it was like leaking ceiling. It was like 8 of you have class. What do you do? It was like, how do you fix the ceiling? It was like, so I guess like the situation you're put in is, so hypothetically, all 8 of you in the room are roommates, and there's a leaking ceiling in your apartment, but you have class. Like, how do you go about fixing this situation? And I guess it's like a kind of like a team building, just to see how people work together. So, and then you just kind of come up with a solution, like try to come up with a, and so what's on my mind is like, all right, just say something. Like, it doesn't have to be right. Just say something. Right. Just say something. And so like naturally I'm like I like to include people in everything. So I'm just like, so what do you think? And so that was my contribution, was making sure that everybody contributed. And I was like, all right, this is solid. I talked a lot because like people were trying to talk over each other and just like fight for words. Right. Because it's like an interview, and you want to be very engaged, but it's like, all right, look, I already knew my role. It's like, all right, I'm gonna make sure everyone gets a chance to speak. Any like awkward silence goes on, I'm asking some questions. Somebody what they think. Yeah. So that was like kind of my role. I was like, all right, cool. And then, or to recap what everybody said. So this is what they said. So what's the next steps from here? Yeah. And so I didn't really feel like I can contribute to fixing the actual solution. It's just like, all right, let me just make sure I heard. Right. So fast forwarding now, it's August. No, when did we start? July? That July, boot camp. Yeah. I remember. So
started the boot camp, and it was like every week you have a different body part. So it's like 1 week will be the shoulder, 1 week's the knee, and then you have to watch a YouTube video, memorize the insertion points of all the muscles, all the ligaments, blood supply, nerve supply. Yeah. And I had no clue what I was doing. It was like just memorizing, and I'd get pretty good at memorizing with no context, but then we'd move to a different body part. And then I was like, I don't even remember what I learned from like the last thing.
Yeah, for a little bit of context. So before starting PT school started in August. Mm-hmm. And so in July, they gave us like a online anatomy course. Mm-hmm. So every week or every couple of weeks, there was like quizzes that you had to do.
Oh my God.
And so it's basically you're starting to learn anatomy before classes start.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much hell for me because like I'm not good at memorizing unless there's like a reason why I'm learning it. Like why do I need to know the attachments of the tricep? Like just aimlessly memorizing body parts is not my thing. So I failed. I think there was like 5 quizzes maybe before the start.
Every single one of them I failed.
Same.
And the worst part was in the beginning, I was like, all right, let me at least get a good grade. So I had like my notes out for the first one. Mind you, they didn't count, but had my notes out for the first one, still got a 40. I was like, this is looking rough. So I remember I was like, I'll give PT school a shot. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but at least I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. And that's like the same. So fast forwarding a little bit more, it's just like after the first test.
Oh yeah.
I said, we had 3 classes. The 3 classes were anatomy,
exam,
and
then intervention.
Yep. And I think I failed the intervention part. And I was like, you know what? This has been fun. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. Like, it was crazy because we had the test in the morning.
Yeah.
And then we had class like 45 minutes after the test. And so we saw the grade.
Oh my God.
And I don't think it was we weren't meant to see the grade, but we saw the grade.
No, right. That was second semester. The first semester you saw all the grades.
Oh, okay.
So it was like the worst part was, at least I feel like in undergrad, if you had a test, that was the class, was the test. This one is like, no, show up at 7:00 because your test is however many hours it was. And then you have a full day of class. I was like, damn. So even if I get a bad grade, I got to go through my entire day knowing the grade that I got.
Yeah.
The entire time.
I failed one of the tests, and then I had class in 45 minutes. And so I just walked outside, shed a little tear, just looked at the scenery. I was like, it was nice being here. You know, it's just like I'm just gonna ride this wave as long as I can, and if it doesn't work out,
I gave my best try.
I gave it a shot.
So I kind of liked knowing the grade. So I thought it was pretty cool going through the grade. It's like, all right, at least I know what I got. I feel like every single time we submitted that, I was looking down. It's like, all right, I got this many wrong. How was this out of 50? And then at least when we got to second semester and you didn't know the grade, second and third semester, you didn't know the grade because you would take the test and everyone would be arguing. It's like, no, I put this one. No, I put that one. And you're like, damn, I don't even know what I put or if it's right or not. And it's like, I keep hearing all these people say this one answer and I don't even know if it's right, but I think it's right.
Yeah. And that's one thing like I never liked, and I didn't typically participate. Like when people like huddled around right outside the test room and like after the test to talk about the questions that they possibly got wrong, I was like, no, I'm not talking to you guys. I am out of here. Peace out.
I mean, most of the time I was pretty fine with that, but I would just hear people all the time. I'll never forget. So third semester was when that was like the cardiopulmonary section. And they were like, oh, don't worry about where like the organs and stuff are. Just know the cardiopulmonary part. So the first question was what region or what quadrant is the liver in? And I don't know why that was so hard for me, but that was the first question. So I was like, never mind, let me start this test from the back. Started it from the back, and it was another question that I didn't know. I was like, this is a rough semester. Came out of that. I usually finish like midway through, like middle of the pack. I was the last 3 people there. And then I came outside and everyone was staring, like just staring in the distance, kind of like how you said. It was just like, damn, that was fun, but this
Yeah.
is looking a little rough.
Yeah. So what would be kind of your takeaway
Mm.
of I'll give you 3 takeaways that you got from PT school of like either things that you learned about yourself.
Okay. I think learning to deal with stress, that was a big thing. Or like knowing that whatever helps you, just focus on that and not what other people are doing. I feel that's a good life one because I felt like everyone was always studying. There would be days like Saturdays or like my college football days, like I'm not doing anything. I'm gonna grab me a 6-pack of beer, sit and not study. Meanwhile, like everybody was at the library. So it's like knowing like what you're doing is helping you and don't compare it to other people. I thought that was a pretty good thing. And just knowing that, especially with like PT now, is like you will never know everything. So it's like you can study all day long, but you will never be fully caught up. There's always something to learn. So I think that was 2 of my biggest takeaways. And even still, just knowing, I felt like for us, when I first got in there, I was like, these people are all way smarter than me. I was like, I have no clue what I'm doing. I was like, I can't memorize this stuff. I was like, I don't know any of this stuff. Everybody else had like 4 rows in undergrad. And I was like, look, just made a way. So it was like, you are competent enough to do it. There's always going to be somebody that's going to be smarter than you. There's always going to be somebody that does more than you. But just stay true to yourself, honestly, as corny as that sounds.
Yeah. That's probably my first takeaway is being true, figure out who you are and what you like to do, and then stick with that.
Yeah.
Because everybody studies in such a different way. It's like the way that person studies doesn't mean, and they do well on a test doesn't mean that you can do that and do well on a test. So you have to like find what works best for you and just stick with it, and then just like trust that you're putting yourself in a good situation to succeed.
Like, and just surrounding yourself with people that are like the same as that. So it's like our big thing for PT school was study in groups, because if you study in groups, someone might hit something that you don't know. But it was like, but you have to be prepared yourself before you go to those groups. And then knowing it's like, I can't be in a group of people that just only study one thing or are really good at, like, say, ortho. It's like, I need to be in a group with someone that's good with neuro, someone that's good with cardiopulmonary, someone that's good with ortho. So it's like, I can see it in everyone else's perspective also. And then I'll add my flavor of what I'm good at. So I think that's another thing, is understanding how you can kind of mix yourself with different people in different groups to better succeed.
Right.
So it's like even how we moved here and then trying to establish like a group of people that you can get around that'll help you succeed that aren't exactly like you. So I think those are pretty good life applications.
Right. I think so. My first takeaway, finding what works for you. Second is stress relief. I think because I would tell when I talk to friends and family about what I was going through, one of the things I would say is like, it's not everything is super complicated that we were learning. It's just the amount that you're learning and the stress of knowing that if you're not proficient by test date and you fail, and you could put yourself in a hole that you can't climb out of. So it's like, all right, you don't necessarily have to be the smartest in the room to get it, but you have to be able to take in information efficiently and then be able to deal with knowing that, all right, you have to perform on test day. So it's like that stress management is like,
that's key.
And so that's something like, if you weren't able to figure that out during school, and it's like, that's what I kind of feel like separated a lot of people. It's like, how well do you just deal with everything that you have to go through, which was a lot for me. So I think we were both in the same boat. We'll study Monday through Friday, and we'll be in the library until close, so till about 11:30. And then Saturday, I'm not doing anything on Saturday. And then Sunday, it's kind of like a half day. Like I'm resting or I'm studying the first half of Sunday, then I'm going to the library in like the second half. So it's like, all right, try to have like a good mix on this. Like not always like my whole weekend is studying. At least I have some time for myself and just to decompress and just not think about school.
Yeah, it was important, honestly. I think that was pretty good for us because I know you worked same place I did. Just like something throughout the day is like, all right, I can break up my day and go to do something else and not focus on studying. Because that was just like a big key thing is everyone was like, what grade did you get on the test? Well, how many hours did you study? And like I used my Sundays for just doing tutorial. I was like, shit, if I could just get tutorial done, then I'm good with just this. I don't need to study. I can just go watch football the rest of the time.
Right.
So
yeah. Ooh. And then my third takeaway. Wow. This one's a tough one. I think it's gonna have to go with like being present, or mostly just like relationship building, because it's like the people and the like MPTs, we're all going through the same thing.
Yeah.
And so being able just to talk and just to like communicate with each other is so big, because like for me, I didn't know what any of the deadlines were. So like I had to build these relationships and trust these people to help me out, because like I knew nothing of like I was like, all right, I knew what I had to do today, but like I didn't really know when the test dates were or like, all right, what's going to be right. And so like a lot of people, so the teachers had like open office hours, and a lot of people will go, and like the open office hours were a lot of come to us with specific questions, and we will give you a pretty specific answer to your question. And so it's like, but people with different questions would just come up. So I was like, oh, hey, I heard you went and talked to this professor. What was your question, and like how did they respond? Yeah. And so just overall, just kind of linking with everyone in the class just to make sure like, all right, we're all kind of staying along the same page. And so that was important, because it's like, I think before it's like everybody thinks about things different ways. So let's come together and let's just help each other out. So that relationship building piece was key. And I think I found my role of also not learning anything, but like, oh, like I asked this person for a study guide, and it's like, oh, hey, I got this study guide from so and so. Look, I can send that to you if you send me your study guide. So I was just exchanging, like being the middleman. I was like, oh, look, they had like a good Quizlet over here. You have a study guide, so let's just exchange. And so now figuring out, now at the end of the day, everybody has everybody else's stuff. And then me, I was like, good, because like, whew. Like, I just wanted to make sure I'm not getting left behind in anything. So just trying to hustle the system, and go back to, I'll call it relationship building. There you go. No, yeah.
Not hustling the system. I think it's a pretty important part also. So many people, I felt like outside of our school or outside of PT school, don't know what you learn or don't know the extent of the stress you kind of go over. So I remember I never told my parents anything, because I was like, one, they're going to worry, but two, they're going to tell me something I really don't want to hear. So one of the times, I think I had, second time my car had $1,000 part that I had to fix in a matter of 2 months. And then we had another exam coming up, and I was just so mad. And I just like, I fully went off and just told my mom, like, I was like, oh, we got this, we got that, we got that. She's like, oh my God, are you okay? I was like, all right, listen, this is not the conversation I wanted to hear. It was like, I just needed somebody else who was going through the same thing to be like, all right, yeah, I know this is what we got to do. This is due then. Damn. No, they cut out.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Looks like it's still recording.
No.
You remember your thought?
Oh, but yeah, I think that was like third or fourth semester. That was probably third semester, I think. So that was the worst one for me. That was just like, everything was due always. I didn't know what assignments were due, because at least first semester and second semester, you kind of had, and fourth semester, same thing. It was like not as much. Third semester, you had that research project that was a whole semester long. You had more classes. We had that research class. It was just so many little things built up on each other. I honestly thought that was a semester like I cannot do this anymore.
Right. So, look, I think that's we can bring this episode to an end. Just with our experiences of PT school, it's been, thinking back on it, it was a wild time, and I don't think I would trade that experience for anything. But 100% won't go. I don't want to go through that again.
Yeah, that was like the most fun you never want to have again. Because like you said, the relationships you kind of built with that, just the things you take away from PT school, it was living hell from starting day one until it finally ended, like last clinical. And then it was like the most rewarding experience. Like, especially you having that big stage, you gave a speech at graduation, but even my little 5 seconds of walking across the stage and said, earned your doctorate, was like, cool. That was like the biggest accomplishment for me. You, on the other hand, you had a little bit more.
And yeah. So I mean, just having the honor of giving like a congratulatory speech to all the graduates of Sacred Heart was pretty wild. Like, I don't remember it. Like, I just kind of blanked out in the moment. But like, just being in front of that stage, in front of, I think there was like a 2,000 to 3,000 people on the field, and then just walking across and just being recognized for the accomplishments that we, of the hard work that we did, was pretty rewarding.
And that speech was top 2, and it wasn't 2.
Like a lot of practice in the mirror, or just saying it, like reading it, because it was tough. I was like, I had to be ready.
All right, well, thank you guys for joining us another week. Again, I'm Tyler.
And I'm Patrick.